Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Jatan Badiwala. I'm a neurosurgery resident.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. I'm Chung. I'm a Master's of Engineering student in Computer Engineering.
Hi, I'm Rabia. I'm an MASC student in Biomedical Engineering.
So we're team MyeloPath, and our app deals with a condition known as degenerative cervical myelopathy, or DCM. This is arthritis of the neck that causes progressive compression to the spinal cord and resultant disability. The symptoms that people develop are most notably loss of dexterity, gait difficulty, and trouble with balance. And in the end stages, we can see weakness and bladder or bowel incontinence. This is a major public health problem in the face of an aging population, and of all operations that neurosurgeons perform, DCM comes out on top. So the severity of DCM lies on a spectrum. People can be asymptomatic, or at the other end, they can be completely quadriplegic. And the mainstay of treatment, the only effective therapy, is surgery. But not all patients need surgery, particularly if the symptoms are mild. And so the point is that surgical decision-making in this population depends on being able to detect subtle differences in neurological function. The problem is that current outcome scales for DCM are subjective, they rely on interviews, and they lack sensitivity. So the gold standard is the MJOA scale, which you see here. And the point is, what's the difference between being able to button your shirt with great versus slight difficulty? It's very subjective. And so we sought to develop an app that might objectively quantify the severity of DCM symptoms. So for our demo, we'd like to highlight how we'd envision this app being used in the clinical setting. So we have two patients, Rabia and Chung, and I'll play the role of the surgeon. Okay, Ms. Nuri, what brings you in today?
So I've been having some numbness in my hands, and I have some neck pain.
Okay, so we'll do a bit of a physical exam.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Your physical exam is normal, but your MRI does show some pretty significant compression of your spinal cord. And the question for us is whether to do surgery or not. And the bottom line is that we need some further information. So can you load the app that we asked you to download?
Yeah.
Okay, so you'll log in here. And the app tests three things. It tests your dexterity, your gait, and your balance. So let's start with dexterity. Click on the hand on the bottom right. And now click Start. So you'll want to drag that light blue marker to the flag as quickly as possible. Thumb and index finger on the screen, spread them open. Now close. And then using this pen, you'll want to trace that circle.
Okay.
And so you got 69, which is not the greatest. Save.
Okay.
And top left,
Yeah.
balance.
Yeah.
So push the blue button, put the phone in your pocket, feet together, arms by your side, and
Yeah.
close your eyes.
Okay.
And try and stand still.
Okay.
Okay. 78, save. Top left, gait. So you'll push the button and then walk in a straight line at your regular pace. Hold
Okay.
it. Yeah. And now, like you're on a tightrope heel to toe, and it's measuring your wobbliness. Not bad, 93, so save.
Okay.
And now, top left, home.
Mhm.
Okay, so you scored an 80 overall, which is, it's good, but it's not the greatest. So I'll draw a diagram for you.
Okay.
So here we have time, and here we have neurological function. You're probably about here to begin with. When we think about the natural history of this condition, meaning what happens if we do nothing, this is what we tend to see. People have a progressive, stepwise decline in their function. Now, surgery prevents things from getting worse, and it does improve your symptoms somewhat, but it's imperfect. The spinal cord is not very resilient, and so the recovery is never 100%. So if we do surgery here, you might recover to near normal. If we wait too long, you might recover to only about there. And if we wait till you're in a wheelchair, then you'll probably be in a wheelchair after surgery even. You're probably somewhere here, and I think that we should do surgery before things get worse for you.
Okay.
So Rabia ends up getting surgery, and she comes back for post-operative follow-up in 6 weeks' time. And we see from the graphs that her scores, in general, she's been using the app at home, her scores have been improving. So she's happy, I'm happy. Next patient. Right.
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Zheng, what brings you in today?
Yo, what up, DJB? It's your favorite Papa Grandpa Chung here. I've been having a little numbness in my fingers lately, and my golden fingers aren't what they used to be. Can you help check them out? Am I browning?
Okay. Well, your physical exam is normal. Your MRI does show some pretty significant compression of your spinal cord, and the question is whether to do surgery or not. So, can you pull out the app? I think you've used it before, so why don't you just kind of speed things along?
Yes, I have. All right, so since I've done this before, I'll just rush through it. So here's dexterity. Yeah, godly scores. Look at that. So good. Oh my god.
Okay, and then home.
Yeah.
Okay, so you did pretty good. So if we draw a diagram here, your function right now is probably up here. This could happen where you might be there for a while and then get worse, but it's possible that you could just stay here and never need surgery. Another way to look at this is that because you're so well, if we were to do surgery and there's a complication, which can happen, there can be injury to the cord, that's what we have to lose. And even if surgery goes perfectly smooth and we can return you to normal, that's the maximum that you can gain. So the risks of surgery for you outweigh the benefits, and so I would suggest no surgery. We'll see you back in 6 months. So Chung comes back in 6 months, and it looks like his dexterity has gotten significantly worse. He's been using the app at home. So in the end, he does end up getting surgery as well. So what we tried to highlight was we have two seemingly similar cases. Both patients have just numbness. Their exams are normal. And the app might be able to help us tease out some subtle changes in their function and help us guide decision making. And then within a patient, we can track their progress over time, which also helps decision making.
Yeah. So for the structure of our app, it's broken into 5 main components. It starts off with the authentication. The user can either register or log into an existing account, as you've seen. For the user interface, they're faced with the home screen, which contains their most recent results, or they can quickly navigate to each of the 3 modules, so dexterity, balance, and gait. For the app core in dexterity, we use the touch sensor to measure all the screen input. The balance uses the phone's gyroscope, and lastly, gait, it uses the hardware step counter, accelerometer, and the gyroscope to measure their instantaneous speed as well as their steps and how much they sway. Lastly, in the app, there's the analytics, which contains the detailed user reports and the historical plots up there as shown. And all this connects to our Firebase database.
Okay, so there's still more to be done before we can make this app available to the public. So for example, our gait module, there's further refinement to be done for that. There's more metrics that we can explore to calculate and for breaking down a person's gait. A big part is testing. We've yet to test this app on actual patients and healthy controls, and we're going to do that to obtain a new DCM scoring methodology using data from our app. If we could do this differently, we would incorporate key stakeholders in the early on in the development process, so like patients and clinicians, and adopt methods of calculating these metrics that other apps have devised. And that's all. Thank you for listening.
Great, really clear demonstration, really great motivation of everything. I liked it a lot. What I didn't get a sense of, and I'd like to know, is you have all those metrics. What makes them valid?
So on their own, their absolute values are probably meaningless. Like if I tried to compare, directly what one patient scored to another patient, is probably not so useful. But at the current stage, at least. But what's more important is the trend, really, because it's all relative. But the next step, which Ravi sort of alluded to, would be to try and validate this in real patients and see whether, in theory, we should, if we have one patient who serves as their own control, after surgery, we should see their score improve. And if we're not seeing the scores improve on our app, then we know that it's not measuring things correctly.
There's no gold standard other method of measuring this score that you came up with?
There's no normative data for that type of thing.
Oh, because you said it was that survey.
So it's just very rudimentary, sort of 18-point scale. But it's all based on questions that you ask rather than performance measures.
Okay, so your answer was this is how one has to validate it from scratch,
Yeah.
by looking at the actual.
Right. Unfortunately, we would have to compare with that survey, which is not the greatest to begin with, but that's sort of the first step.
Great. Great.
Have you noticed, what's the variance in the measurements just between you guys? If you run it 5 times, what kind of changes are you seeing?
So I would say for gait and balance, they're pretty okay. Like most people would score, 85 to 90 range. The dexterity is where things are far more sensitive, where even a seemingly normal person could, you have to be told beforehand that, try to open and close your fingers as fast as possible. And you really have to put in extra effort to be able to do that. So right now, I think even a normal person, unless they were told that, could score pretty low on the dexterity. And for that reason, we likely repeat, the measure multiple times and take an average.
Also like the lowly guy.
Oh, thanks.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.